In here.
All right, looking good. You guys? Everybody good in the back? You ready? I don't think he hears you. Good to ride? All right. All right, riders, come out as I call you, please. Versus 1000, Ninja 1000, ZX $6.
Ooh, I'm not used to these brakes. Real touchy brakes, or just not used to them. And that was just the rear brakes I was using earlier. So we're all lining up to take off into this very busy traffic. And here we go. Well, it's very smooth. I'm sure they make sure these bikes are running great when they're having these demos. You can see the gauges there. I wonder if the single light's going to turn off by itself. I would think this bike would have self-canceling. The ride's supposed to take 15 minutes or so. The initial impression reminds me a lot of my 2012. The brakes takes a little getting used to, but it is very, very touchy compared to what I'm used to. Right ahead of me is the Versa 1000. And I think the lead, he's on a Versa 650. I think that's what that is. But I really didn't pay attention. We're here in San Antonio, Texas. The place that we were at was Alamo Cycleplex. It's probably one of the largest dealerships here in San Antonio. We're trying to ride a staggered formation. As you can see, the tack, neutral, the time, even though the time is wrong, but I saw on the advertisement on Facebook what the course was going to be, but I didn't think it was going this way. I thought it was going some other way. Maybe they changed their mind. I'm looking at the the Versa 1000 looks really comfortable. Very nice looking bike. Has the same engine as this Ninja 1000XX. You know, I think I shouldn't have bought the gloves because, man, it doesn't have self-canceling turn signals. I'm gonna leave it on. I want it to self-cancel. This is a 2022. Well, I don't know. Kind of surprised about that. Good power. I don't know if it's any faster than the one I had in 2012. It does feel very familiar, except for the brakes, but I'm having to get used to the brakes. I'm in 5th gear. 4th gear. I'm assuming it's a 6th gear. I'm sure it is. Yeah, 6 gears. And my single lights are still on. So I don't need. So that's a surprise. It doesn't have self-canceling turn signals. It's got all these modes and everything, but no self-canceling turn signals. So it's handling these bumps fairly well, fairly smooth. Now the one I had in 2012, it was when they first came out with them, and they didn't have all this gadgetry in here, all these modes. This one has cruise control. Yeah, cruise control. It has the modes. I think you can change the displays, all the different displays. I'm not really knowing. Doesn't have this typical type starter or a starter button. I wasn't used to that. San Antonio has gotten so busy. I remember I liked it better in the 90s when it was a smaller town. But it's handling these bumps very well, all this construction area. The one thing I like about these Ninja 1000s, when I first bought it in 2012, and I didn't get to test ride it at that time, I watched a lot of YouTube videos on it, and it just seemed the type of bike I wanted. At the time, I was pretty much a sport bike rider, or came from that world, and I didn't want to give up a sport bike, but I wanted to be able to travel with it or do long distance rides, because my weekend rides, they average about 150 miles, and on a sport bike that'll beat you up. So this bike here, for the most part, when people walk up to it that don't know bikes or not know all the different type of bikes there is, this looks like a sport bike. But I'm sitting, I would say, almost 90 degrees. Got a slight tilt forward of your upper torso. The seat, only time will tell. You know, it's not extremely wide or anything. It's better than I would imagine what most sport bikes are these days, but I guess we're not taking it on the highway. We're just doing back roads, all the neighborhood streets. And I'm sure this thing can get up and go. You know, on these demo rides, you're not allowed to gun it. But it's a very pleasant ride. Very wants to lean, fairly easy, smooth for sure. Not sure, not looking down at the gauges, see if I'm in neutral or not. Not used to this bike, of course. And there's more bikes in the background. They're right behind us. And I've never been in one of these demo rides. I don't know how much I paid for these. I think $30. I'm sure there's nothing for most of y'all that, but I didn't want to buy gloves. But I didn't want to miss my opportunity, because the next opportunity was not till 1 o'clock, because they're going to break for lunch. And I won't be able to ride this, and this bike wasn't available at 1 o'clock. So I guess I'm just going to find out what's available next at 1, and then come back at 1. I'm not sure. I might want to try the KLR 650, because the last one I owned was carbureted. Now the one I had was heavily modified. That one was, I had everything changed out on it. But now the KLR 650s, they come with fuel injection, and a lot of people are like, well, it's not that big of an improvement. Well, and they had to do that because of the EPA regulations were getting tighter, and the carburetor just couldn't meet the regs. Yeah. It feels pretty torquey. Let's move over. Very easy to ride. Yeah, I guess we're not going to go, because this is going to take us right back to the dealership. So we're just going to the neighborhood. They changed the route from what they originally put on Facebook. Has a nice sound to it. Sounds just like my 2012 did with stock exhaust. The thing about on this one, they have a single-sided exhaust now. When I bought mine, it had two-sided exhaust, and I just took those off and I put some Vance & Hines slip-ons, and there was no baffles in it. It was just a pipe. It's just a pipe that took the place of the muffler. But I think because of the Cadillac converter, it still sounded great, and it wasn't too loud. And I kept it that way the whole time that I owned the bike. I traded in that Ninja 1000 on the KTM that I have now on the 1290. trying to decide which bike I want to ride next, or what bike is available at 1 o'clock. This Ninja 1000 stayed booked up, so it's a popular bike. When I had it, it wasn't, and people were having trouble selling these Ninja 1000s. But I think the word is out on the streets now that this is like the best of both worlds, where you're comfortable and you still have a sport bike. And you can get this with luggage and do some good touring. I think the one I had a 5-gallon tank, and I'm pretty sure this one's pretty close to that. And you can get some decent range on that. But now it has cruise control, so that'll take some stress off your hands. Well, we're fixing to get back to the dealership now. We'll see if I get registered to ride another one. But if you're in the market for this bike, I had this bike for about 4 years, 2012 version, like I said. But and it was a great bike. It was one of the best bikes I've owned, and I've owned like at least 20 bikes. So that says something. I've been riding since 1985. All right. Thank you for watching. So I just got through riding the Ninja 1000, and I enjoyed it. Like I said, this is a great option for anybody that wants to be still in the sport bike world, but wants comfort. And it has the cruise control. It has the adjustable preload in the backs for the shocks. It's got a single exhaust now. What else? It's fairly comfortable. It's a little bit sport on the sport tour side. It's more sport oriented than the let's say like the Connie is, the Concord. I like the new lights, and it was an enjoyable ride. I can see it as a great option for anyone that's looking for something. It's not quite an old man bike, but still has the get up and go.